The European Union stands as a unique entity, a sui generis creation without parallel in human history. It is neither a federation nor a confederation. Surely it is not a unitary state. Such a union, peacefully blending diverse nations and cultures under a single administrative umbrella, is unprecedented. As discussions continue about the future of the European Union and the prospect of its federalization, to some it seems like a possible solution to all problems. However, history presents us with numerous examples of states akin to a federalized Europe, including some within Europe itself. These historical precedents offer insightful lessons. They serve as cautionary tales, suggesting that without careful management of diversity and national identities, the EU might face challenges similar to those that led to the downfall of past federations. It's essential to look back at history and even into the realms of science fiction to understand the potential consequences. The Roman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Soviet Union, and the fictional Galactic Empire from Isaac Asimov's novels each offer cautionary tales about the challenges and pitfalls of maintaining large, diverse federations. The Roman Empire's history offers a cautionary tale of overextension. At its peak, it controlled vast territories across Europe, Asia, and Africa. This immense expansion initially brought wealth and power, but eventually turned the empire into an unwieldy and sprawling entity. The challenges of governing such a diverse range of lands and peoples from a central authority were monumental. Issues like communication delays, local rebellions against perceived distant and unresponsive governance, and the economic burdens of maintaining such a vast territory cumulatively led to the empire's gradual decline. This historical example finds a parallel in the potential difficulties a federalized Europe might face in addressing the diverse needs of its member states, each with its unique culture, language, and economic circumstances. This concern goes beyond just managing diversity. It reflects how centralized authority in a federalized Europe might inadvertently hinder innovation, akin to the way decisions by figures like Roman Emperor Tiberius Caesar impacted technological advancements. According to legend, Tiberius executed an inventor who created a bendable, unbreakable glass vessel, fearing it would introduce a superior material that could devalue gold and silver, disrupt the economy, and challenge the existing power structure. The Roman Empire, heavily reliant on slave labor and traditional craftsmanship, showed resistance to innovations that might upset the status quo. This is exemplified by their lack of interest in developing labor-saving technologies despite instances of advanced engineering. For example, the aeolipile, an early steam engine designed by Hero of Alexandria, wasn't exploited for practical use. The socio-economic conditions of the time, including the widespread use of slave labor, didn't incentivize such advancements. In contrast, the 20th century saw the development of modern unbreakable glass, like safety and tempered glass, highlighting a significant shift in attitudes towards innovation over nearly 2 millennia. This evolution in mindset suggests that earlier embrace of such technological breakthroughs could have dramatically reshaped historical trajectories of technological and societal progress. Reflecting further on the Roman Empire's overreach, the societal and cultural shifts during its decline and fall provide insights into why its restoration was not pursued. During the Byzantine Empire's attempts to reclaim the Western Roman territories under General Belisarius, the reaction from the Roman populace was mixed. This eastern realm, retrospectively named the Byzantine Empire in the 19th century, always considered itself the true uninterrupted continuation of the Roman Empire. Remarkably, they maintained their Roman identity for about 1,000 years, despite their gradual shift away from speaking Latin. The varied support for the Byzantine efforts can be linked to evolving identities and allegiances among the residents of these territories. Many Romans had integrated with the barbarian groups who established kingdoms in the former western territories of the empire. In some instances, these Romans played significant roles, particularly in military and administrative capacities, within the new Germanic states. This blending of cultures and shifting loyalties signified a transformation in regional dynamics after the fall of Roman rule. Furthermore, from the perspective of these Romans, life in smaller, localized states was often seen as more desirable than rejoining a vast empire with a distant capital. They had adapted to the governance and customs of these new realms, finding a greater sense of belonging and immediate influence there than in a remote, expansive empire. Reluctance to reintegrate into the Roman Empire was also fueled by issues like overtaxation, internal strife, and distant border wars. This preference for local rule, coupled with the changed reality of former territories, made the prospect of returning to the old imperial structure unappealing. These factors underscore the complexity of reviving an empire that had become incredibly diverse and fragmented. In summary, the Roman Empire's decline was not just a result of external invasions and overextension, but also a consequence of internal transformations, shifting loyalties, and socio-economic structures that did not support certain types of innovation. The lack of a concerted effort to rebuild the Roman Empire reflects these complex changes in the societies that emerged from its remnants. The Austro-Hungarian Empire is a historical example highlighting the challenges of imposing a dominant culture and language, particularly German, in a multi-ethnic state. This vast empire struggled to manage its diversity, with central authorities promoting German as the administrative and military language, which often led to the marginalization of other cultures and languages. Such policies, including the use of military German, Militärdeutsch, in the army, intended to unify the empire, paradoxically bred resentment among minority groups and suppressed their identities. These tensions were particularly evident during World War I. The empire's diverse military grappled with internal contradictions, exemplified by Serbs conscripted to fight against Serbia, and Poles and Ukrainians against their ethnic counterparts from the Russian Empire. The tragic execution of Czech soldiers for mutiny at the Italian front in 1918, just before the empire's collapse and the emergence of independent Czechoslovakia, underscored the challenges of managing a multi-ethnic military amid rising nationalist fervor. Within the Austro-Hungarian Empire's diverse context, Adolf Hitler's early life in Vienna stands out. Born into this multi-ethnic state, he harbored a deep resentment towards the empire's efforts to accommodate minorities, who collectively were the majority. In 1914, ethnic Austrians made up less than a quarter of the population, with Slavic peoples forming the majority. Despite their numbers, Slavs were often treated as inferior, fueling the empire's internal tensions. This demographic complexity prompted the Habsburgs to engage with different ethnic groups, including learning Czech, which irritated German nationalists like Hitler. These dynamics played a role in shaping the political landscape that led to the Anschluss in 1938, when Austria unified with Nazi Germany with minimal resistance, a reflection of the prevailing nationalist sentiments and historical context. The collapse of the empire following World War I highlighted the lasting consequences of its policies aimed at cultural unification. Specifically, the Hungarian language, once enforced in non-ethnic Hungarian regions, vanished entirely from these areas, indicating that the local populations were not inclined towards adopting a Hungarian identity. For example, in Slovakia, which was part of Hungary for 9 centuries, only ethnic Hungarians speak this language. It is 8% down, from even 15% just a century ago, and several times of people who were able to speak in this language. The Austro-Hungarian Empire's experience underscores the dangers of forced integration and cultural suppression in diverse societies, the empire's difficulties in managing ethnicities, and the varied populist reactions towards nationalistic movements serve as a crucial reminder of the importance of respecting cultural and national identities in any federal or unified system. These lessons are particularly relevant in considering a federalized Europe. The collapse of the Soviet Union provides a recent and relevant historical parallel to the concept of a unified, centralized federation. This ambitious endeavor forcibly sought to unite diverse ethnic groups under a single federal government from its very inception employing coercive measures to achieve this unification. However, this led to economic inefficiencies, political repression, and widespread alienation across its republics. As central control weakened, each part, including the main Republic of Russia, increasingly desired independence. Ultimately, the dissolution of the Soviet Union was not a collective decision, but a series of individual choices by its republics. Russia, as the core, took a decisive step to secede, paving the way for others like Belarus, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan to follow, each eager to leave and pursue their own path, with no remaining desire to keep the Union intact. This disintegration was further fueled by technological stagnation and mounting tensions, as different parts of the Union were pulling in disparate directions, each with its own aspirations and challenges. The Soviet experience underscores the complexities and risks involved in enforcing a rigid federal structure over a vast and diverse area. It highlights how such an approach can suppress the unique economic and political characteristics of individual states, potentially leading to discontent and ultimately fragmentation. This historical lesson is particularly pertinent for Europe, where enforcing a strict federal system could similarly risk stifling the diverse needs and aspirations of its member states. Isaac Asimov's personal history and experiences profoundly influenced his portrayal of the Galactic Empire in his science fiction novels. Born in 1920 in Petrovichi, Russia, during the collapse of the Russian Empire and the rise of the Soviet Union, Asimov's family witnessed significant political and social upheavals. This tumultuous backdrop, combined with his subsequent life in the United States after emigrating in 1923, provided him with a unique perspective on the dynamics of large-scale governance and societal organization. Asimov's keen interest in history and science, along with his observations of the inefficiencies in the Soviet Union, played a significant role in shaping his views on technological progress and stagnation within large empires. He believed that the fragmentation of states often spurred technological advancement. This belief was mirrored in his portrayal of the Galactic Empire as a stagnant entity, where the centralization of power and the vastness of its territory led to a lack of innovation and progress. In his narratives, the sheer scale of the empire and the detachment of its central authority hindered effective governance and responsiveness to the diverse needs of its many sectors. This inability to adapt and evolve eventually contributed to the empire's decline. The foundation, created by psychohistorian Harry Seldon to minimize the chaos following the empire's fall, is strategically located on the galaxy's periphery. This position, distant from the central power's influence, allows for a focus on preserving knowledge and scientific development. The Foundation thrives in this autonomous environment, fostering creativity and experimentation, in stark contrast to the stagnation of the Galactic Empire. Asimov's narrative highlights the Foundation as a symbol of progress in technology, illustrating how decentralization and diversity can spur growth and innovation. This concept, reflecting Asimov's understanding of historical and societal patterns, emphasizes the advantages of smaller, focused groups over large, centralized powers in driving societal advancement. Asimov's insights into the relationship between governance, societal structure, and technological advancement reflect a deep understanding of historical patterns. His fiction, while set in a futuristic context, offers a commentary on the real-world challenges of managing vast, diverse federations and the potential consequences of stifling innovation and diversity through overly centralized control. Europe's march towards union presents a complex picture. The idea of a federalized Europe, akin to communism in its theoretical allure, faces significant challenges. While communism promised equality and justice in theory, it required certain conditions to succeed, which were not met, leading to tragic outcomes like gulags and the loss of countless lives to ideology. This begs the question, do we really want to risk seeing how a federalized Europe might end? Let's contemplate the European Parliament in 2023, envisioning a future where decisions for the entire continent, from nations as varied as Latvia and Portugal, are centralized in Brussels. This scenario raises critical questions. What uniform ideologies and policies might be imposed? Could stronger nations prioritize their interests over those of smaller member states? The United States presents a parallel situation with its internal conflicts, such as the Texas border issue, which underscores the complexity inherent in managing a variety of interests within a federal system. In such a system, the central government wields command, necessitating compliance from its member states, even in the face of disagreement. Consider a Texas where border communities speak a different language and have a history of persecution by those in power. This would intensify decision-making challenges, mirroring the deep cultural, linguistic, and historical intricacies faced by many European regions. Such a scenario underscores the significant challenges a centralized European governance system would encounter in Europe's richly woven tapestry of cultures, languages, and histories, which have been both enriched and scarred by genocides and conflicts. This intricate and tumultuous past of Europe accentuates the potential risks of centralized governance in a region steeped in diversity and marked by historical traumas. The situation in Warsaw after German occupation during World War II is a stark reminder of this brutal past. By the end of the war, the once thriving Polish capital, with a pre-war population of 1.3 million, was reduced to ruins, with only about 1,000 inhabitants left amid the rubble of a city systematically razed to the ground. This history is less than a century old, yet it profoundly impacts the collective memory and identity of nations like Poland. In such a context, imagine a centralized European authority making blanket decisions. How would it address the intricate layers of history and emotion? If Germans were to dictate border policies to Poland, or Poles were to impose manufacturing standards on Germany, might this not be interpreted as an attempt to influence the German economy, driven by a desire for security? This scenario could easily be perceived as more than just regulatory intervention. It might echo historical tensions, with actions motivated by past conflicts and the pursuit of national safety. In conclusion, history and fiction alike offer valuable insights into the potential pitfalls of a federalized Europe. The challenges faced by the Roman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Soviet Union, and Asimov's Galactic Empire highlight the complexities of governing large, diverse territories under a single federal system. These examples demonstrate the risks of overextension, the difficulties in managing cultural and linguistic diversity, the economic strains of centralized control, and the political instability that can arise from perceived distant and unresponsive governance. A federalized Europe would need to carefully navigate these challenges, ensuring that the unique needs and identities of its member states are respected and integrated into the larger framework. Balancing unity with diversity, central authority with local autonomy, and economic integration with cultural respect is essential for the success and stability of any large federated entity. The lessons from the past and from imaginative fiction serve as reminders that while the pursuit of unity and cooperation is commendable, the complexities of such an endeavor must not be underestimated. Empire was crucial in shaping modern Western civilization, where personal freedom was ardently fought for, and Christianity set the foundation for universal human rights. In the Roman Empire, not all individuals were regarded as fully human, and the Christian concept of a soul challenged Roman norms at the empire's zenith. This religious sect, initially targeted by the Romans, was pivotal in redefining human dignity. Such progress might not have occurred under a monolithic, unified rule. Likewise, the rise of Protestantism necessitated the political fragmentation prevalent in Europe then, sparking educational and technological advancements. Today, Europe enjoys the longest period of peace in its post-Roman history, but this time without the drawbacks of the Roman era, like slavery, stagnation, or constant border wars. This era of peace showcases the possibility of harmony and progress without sacrificing diversity and the freedom of individual states. Please write in the comments your opinions if the federalized Europe is a good idea.